Good morning, traders and investors. Hope everyone is having a lovely start to the end of the week here. Friday, July 11th, 2025. Triple D and I got a good show here for you today. Well, it looks like tariffs are back, folks. S&P 500 futures down about 0.5% as Trump playing tough guy a little bit here as markets have been rallying, kind of threatening a raised Canadian tariff, threatening blanket tariffs across the globe for countries that haven't yet come to the bargaining table. We have drone stocks in focus here today, following a headline yesterday from U.S. Defense Secretary. Also, some strength going on in the crypto space that we will dig around a little bit for. Couple of notable corporate news items, but nothing too exciting. A little bit of a quiet Friday here, folks. We do have earnings season kicking off next week, so we will be getting a lot more info starting next week and continuing on through the end of July and into August. We do have a handful of ratings to go over towards the end of the show. Our guest at 8:35 a.m. Eastern Time, Tony Pollock of Real Life Trading. Tony, always with an optimistic message here. Looking forward to talking to Tony. Please, folks, take this chance. If you get some good info out of the show, if you get some good trading ideas, some good entertainment, hit that like button. Maybe throw us a sub if you want to show some support. Folks, let's get it going on pre-market prep.
The volatility right now is really incredible.
Wow, look at that consolidation on the upper right chart.
You know what we've seen this earnings season? Some of these expected moves get even more violent. This is why I have switched my strategy 10 years ago. And if you're chasing, you're in trouble.
Triple D Trader, good morning.
What's going on? Talk to me. What's up? What's up?
What's up? What's up? A little bit of a sleepy Friday here. You feel that way too?
Yeah, it was one of those, like, I was up pretty late last night trading late because of the tariff stuff that was going on. And then this morning, I just couldn't wake up, laying in my bed, falling back asleep. Usually I get up about 6:30, but I didn't get up till 7:20. So I'm a little groggy, trying to come out of it, but we'll get out of it. We'll get out of it.
We'll get out of it here. You want to take a little look around the markets real quick? We can kind of just freehand
you want to show your screen here, Brentster?
Yeah, I can. Give me a sec. I gotta jump over in StreamYard on my other computer, so it'll just be a sec.
Okay.
But if you
Brentster's
don't mind,
gonna show his screens in a second here, but I'll just give you a rundown of like what's happened overnight. So we've had a significant fall off in the S&P futures. And we know the reasoning is tariffs. Talking about 15 to 20% blanket tariffs for countries not coming to the bargaining table. Also raising the Canadian tariff up to 35%. Is that the number we got? 35, Brent?
Yeah.
35?
It's supposed to be about 25. Now we're going to be at 35. Yeah.
Raising it up to 35. August 1st is the hard deadline here. Or hard deadline, we should say soft deadline. And markets are nervous. We know Trump plays tougher when the markets are at all-time highs. And it's not a coincidence that the S&P has been marching here. And now Trump is playing really, really tough with, obviously, his tariff negotiations. So the question is, where do we go from here? Well, there's two directions. One, the taco trade continues, where we get to August 1st, he kicks the can down the road, he settles up, a lot lower numbers, and this is just his bargaining. This is how he does his deals, the art of the deal. Throw out a huge number, and it settles off a lot lower than that. The market probably pricing most of that in, because, heck, we're not back down to April's. We're still up at the highs. Yes, we're down 28 points in the S&P futures, but the market's pricing in the taco trade. The other scenario is that Trump sees the market's all-time high and says, screw it, we're putting in these big tariffs come August 1st. And the markets take a dump on August 1st, because I think the markets aren't going to price that in saying, oh, he's serious this time, because he's not been serious so many times. So I think probably this market still pretty much in control. One concerning thing here, and we'll have the Brentster get his charts here in a second when he does get those up, I can go into, was that you had...
Dennis, I can't get logged in on my other comp to show my Thinkorswim charts, unfortunately. So
okay.
Yeah,
so
do you mind?
Charts here?
Yeah, do you mind sharing?
Yeah, just hang on a second. We'll do.
I don't think we gotta
changed everything here too. Hang on.
I don't think we got to be like super active with the
No,
charts.
and I'm not a huge chartist, so we're just going to show you some charts here, but we'll give
Yeah,
you a feel here. So let's just
cool.
go.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Trade ideas, courtesy of trade ideas. They're great. So here's your fall. Here's your fall off in SPY from this morning. You can see we're already coming back from the lows. You know, we got down here, 4 o'clock open. So this was last night. 4 o'clock open, you know, was pretty low, pretty much the low. And we've been climbing back, you know, since the morning here. But one concerning thing was yesterday's trading action in a lot of Momo names. So we are overbought on so many stocks, and there's crowded trades in the Momo trade all over the place. Like check out cybersecurity. We'll go through a few of these stocks here.
Yeah.
CrowdStrike had a terrible day. You can see all morning selling off and then closing near the lows. Obviously today a little bit of follow through. Zscaler. We're just going to go through the cybersecurity stocks first. Terrible day yesterday, and give you a perspective. We could go out to the 90-day. Maybe this would give you a little bit more perspective. So you can see, you know, we've had climb, and this is yesterday's candle. Boom. Well, that's a serious candle. CrowdStrike. Boom. Well, that's a serious candle.
Yeah.
That's like, let's take note that, hey, this is crowded. It's been straight up climbing. And then all of a sudden we get about our biggest red candle we've had in 2 months on a number of stocks. Palo Alto Networks, same story. PANW. Climb. Boom. Snowflake. SNOW. I'm just building the case. Boom. Not as pronounced, but you can see it there. CoreWeave finally breaking down. We were talking about this one. The borrow maybe got a little bit easier yesterday, but CoreWeave finally starting to go down. It's falling through here again today. You know, a fairly large red candle here. So bottom line is you can see Axon too. Somebody was saying Axon. Oh man, this one was ugly. Whew, this one was ugly.
Oh yeah, that thing was down like, yeah.
It was down like 90 points. So it's been climbing, big red candle. So this was ahead of all of this. And this is just, you know, people maybe, you know, it starts with a little bit of profit taking and then it goes, oh crap. There's a lot of people sitting on a lot of profits and a lot of names. We've had an incredible run. You know, when you really put it in perspective, a lot of stocks have more than from their April lows. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that we get a little bit of a correction. Could this tariffs headlines be the catalyst to make us correct 4 or 5%? It's possible. But I think there's so much underneath demand here still that it's hard to come up with the scenario, you know, that, oh, this is it. We better sell everything now. Qs, it didn't even show up on. SPY, you know, yesterday's, you know, little sell-off, which wasn't even a sell-off because there was a lot of stocks that were trading higher. We know this market doesn't like to just sell off stocks. It rotates into other stocks. And there were a lot of stocks yesterday that were fairly strong. The airlines were definitely a source of strength. We know backed on Delta. You know, Delta had a huge day, popped up. LUV had a big day. American Airlines, huge day. UAL, huge day. You know, we were just looking from these candles from yesterday. So this was, you know, we rotated into other stuff. There was a lot of stocks that were very, very strong. So again, it's kind of, you know, you're at a situation here where if the bears are going to make a case, they need to really make a stand here because we had a little bit of weakness in the Momo names yesterday. They need to like continue that weakness. That's the way if the bears have a case here. Otherwise, the taco trade continues and we probably just continue to climb the wall of worry and move higher. That's kind of where I'm at.
And, you know, like the thing that you've been saying that we've been saying, Dennis, is, you know, when the markets are rallying, it allows Trump to be able to press that, you know, discussions for trade. Like it gives them a little leeway. It gives them a little bit of like a floor, right? So I was a little surprised this morning by the tone of like big media, you know, like the CNBCs and the Bloombergs and the Wall Street Journals of the world, kind of really getting doom and gloomy here on these like tariff things. And I'm going like, this is what's been happening. But also those big media outlets, they look for things to cover, and I don't think they really understand that, you know, maybe people don't, maybe the market doesn't necessarily like believe that Trump, like the taco trade. I don't know that the big media really has like had that as front of focus. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's not sexy and headline grabbing.
Yeah.
You know, like tariffs are coming and they're gonna put a, you know, nail in the coffin of this ridiculous rally we've had. Like that's a lot more sexy to say stuff like that.
Right.
You know, even like my Tim Cook rant. I go on a Tim Cook rant, and then there's an analyst talking, and he comes on and gives this whole, and then CNBC's talking about it. And I mean, it's just something cool to talk about. The media wants sexy headlines.
Yeah.
They don't want to hear about climbing a wall of worry in the markets at all-time highs. They want, think about CNBC markets at turmoil. They love that. They get huge ratings off of that.
Huge ratings, the biggest.
Huge ratings off of that.
And Dennis, like your Tim Cook thing, you weren't trying to. I was there watching it. You weren't trying to be sexy. You were just like, this is reality.
Oh, yeah.
And
I think it's time for change of leadership. I totally do.
Yeah.
But media's grabbed off and starting to run with this headline. CNBC covered it again last night. Is it time for Tim Cook to go? They did two. I've seen two, and there's 2 segments on it now. I don't think it's a coincidence. I gave that in the morning.
I don't either.
8 a.m. 1 p.m. an analyst comes out with a paper talking about it. People and then CNBC comes out that night, and then the next night. I mean, it's just something cool to talk about. Let's give them something to talk about. There's a song about that. And that's really what the media is. But let's take it back to the markets here.
Yeah.
So tariffs are real. Tariffs are coming. The market is fine with 10% tariffs. The market is fine if these numbers land lower. And the art of the deal for Trump, like you said, we were saying on the pre-market show, is he throws out ridiculously high numbers and he settles very much lower. So I think the taco trade probably stands. I also think, here's scenario analysis. So here's scenario analysis. Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, that tariffs go in. The bears win, tariffs go in August 1st. The markets fall off. Well, that's going, what's going to happen is the markets fall off or economic growth starts to slow because of the tariffs. What happens next?
Rates?
Yeah. So interest rates will start dropping, and then that's what took us out of the COVID problems, was interest rates, drop, and then we get out of it. And obviously, the virus, spreading everywhere, and we had herd immunity. But, I mean, interest rates. So if the markets go to fall, and if economic growth starts to slow a little bit because of tariffs, then we're going to start getting interest rates cut in the second half. September, maybe, I'm thinking it could be September. So then the markets rally on that anyways. So, I mean, you start playing out scenarios, and in the end result, you just see the markets higher. So unless there's a new crisis come in, nuclear war they start talking about, the Putin stuff escalates, I'm trying to or something we don't even see. Unless
scenario
there's a new crisis, it's hard to think about the bear scenario here. And I still think, could we get a 2, 3, 4% pullback? Sure, we could. Stocks are up tremendously. Look at a stock like Micron. And I know I've been stuck on this view. I forget to do the charts. Micron has went from $60 to $122. It doubled in 2.5 months. This is an incredible run, folks. An incredible run. If it pulled back to 100, 110, would that be healthy? Yeah, it still would be healthy. I mean, NVIDIA has went from $81 or $86, whatever the hell it got down to, $163.
$83.66.
These are incredible moves, folks. So are we due for a little bit of a correction? Sure. But do I think the beat doesn't go on? No. Is AI for real? Yes. Or is it going to change the world? Yes. Are we going to need more energy because of AI? Yes. Are AI companies like NVIDIA in the pole position for this, continued movement into everything AI? Yes. So all that story remains the same. The beat goes on. So on pullbacks here, your money managers are probably buying dips too. How deep these dips get is the question. Is there opportunities to buy on these dips? I believe so.
We're gonna get to the drone coverage here and the drone headline in just a sec, but I just wanted to say that the other thing here is that the economy is Trump's biggest priority as far as we can tell. So when the economy is reacting, Trump is being motivated. I think all of this commentary on, Jay Powell is to try to influence what's going on in the economy. If the economy is doing well, Trump is happy. If the economy isn't doing well, Trump is going to be trying as hard as he can to do whatever he can to get the economy juiced again. Yeah. So it's just I'm starting to. You've been saying, Dennis, I don't know where the bear thesis is for a good few weeks now. And I'm really starting. And
At
I'm really
all-time highs a month and a half ago when we were in the middle of May.
I'm really starting to like visualize those like floors that we have in the market that you're describing to like help support us here. I love the angle. I think you got a unique angle. I think not many people are talking about it in this way. You want to get to the drone stuff?
Well, and we can look at this for the tariffs, 35%. That sounds like a scary number for Canada, but look at the action here this morning, the EWC, and again, just bear with me. I'm just crappy on the charts.
You good?
I mean, we're down. So here's the fall. We're down on the EWC. Oh my gosh, 35% tariffs. It's down 0.71%.
Less than a
EWC is
percent.
down
Okay.
0.7, less than 1%.
Yeah.
If this was April, before we knew of the taco
my
trade,
gosh.
before we thought that Trump didn't care and he was going to tank the market anyways. If this was before the day the taco trade was invented, which was April the 9th, the market, the Canadian markets would be down 5% on this. But they're not, because again, the taco trade lives, and we believe that it's going to be a lot less than that. If it really goes in at 35%, Canada's screwed, man. Canada's in big trouble. If that actually goes in at 35%, Canada's in a whole lot of trouble. EWC will be a hell of a lot lower 6 months from now if it actually goes in. But everybody's saying it's not going to go in. It's the art of the deal. It's going to come in at 10% or something.
And there's a little asterisk on this too that was like right in the Trump thing, which is, this tariff will be raised unless Canada complies.
Unless it's in there.
It's right. It's in the comment. He's the art of the deal bargaining is right in there. I think that is a little bit of a change. I feel like some of these, under the radar implications haven't been in the headlines. With this one, it's right in the headline there. He's telling us if you don't do this, this will happen. If you do this, then we're gonna be friends. So
yeah. So you know what? They're gonna end up friends in the end. That's where my prediction goes.
And that's what we want. That's what we want, really, Dennis. We don't want to be.
Well, we all want to be friends. This is what I want to. So we want it to all end happily, where we're all eating ice cream together, and we'll jump in. We'll get our maple syrup, and no tariffs on anything. That would be good. But right now, we're still fighting in the art of the deal. Taco trade lives, though. The taco trade has not died. Taco trade dies, the markets are down 20%. For real. If the taco trade, if he actually starts implementing the stuff, we start thinking about like markets going down significantly. But everybody's kind of figured it out. This is the art of the deal, and the taco trade survives. The market has become numb to all these tariff headlines. Deals numb. It's just not moving as much. You can say, what are you talking about, Dan? We're down 30 handles. We're down 0.48%. We're talking about tariffing the world again. We were down 10% in 3 days when this happened the first time. So that's what I'm talking about, is the market is numb. This is a muted response to it would be serious, like if they actually all go in, but I don't think it's going to go in either. I'm with the taco trade. So I'm looking at stocks, and not saying today's dip's a dip, because we did have some, serious, carnage yesterday in some of the Momo names. But, we get down 5-10% on some of the names you've been watching for a bit. Like I was saying with the AMD yesterday, that didn't stay down there long. And, we had a tidy little quiet 10% correction. If we go and just change this time frame again to the dailies, we did have this little correction right here. We're talking about right here. But there's a quiet little 10% correction in AMD. Wow, bang, we're right back up. I think orderly. That's an orderly correction to buy in a stock in an uptrend. That's an orderly correction to buy. And we talked about yesterday with the upgrade. I was like, I think this is a stock to buy. It's a stock I would still be looking to buy on dips. I own this stock. In my kids' RESP. I own this in my investment account. I've been trading it long in my trading account multiple times all the way up. I mean, I love AMD. I think AMD is going to be a $200 stock again, and maybe even this year. Unless tariffs come in at like these 20, 35, 40% or whatever, then, that bet's going to be a little bit delayed. But I think the AI trade is real. I think AMD's market cap is so much smaller than NVIDIA. There's lots of room for Lisa Su to exercise. So I would be buying dips on a stock like AMD. It was the A in my fade trade. You want to move to the drones, though, and we do have some action here. Give us this headline here, Brentster. Everybody thinks of AV first. Give us the headline that is driving this.
So U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth ordering drone production and deployment surge. That was via Fox around 4:10 10 or so yesterday evening. We got a nice little drone watch list for you here. Drones were your group this morning that are moving the highest. Like you said, everyone goes to the AVAV. That's certainly your go-to. You want to like pull up each of these as we go through them,
Yeah,
Dennis?
AVAV. So we're just going through, I'll just show you AVAV. It's trading up 8 points on this. Obviously, the stock's been beat up and the skimming at a kickstart. RCAT's another one. RCAT. There's a huge list we compiled last night in the STN room on this. UMAC is another one that's trading up substantially on this headline. So RCAT's up 14%, UMAC's up 9.55%. KTOS, which isn't as drony as some of the other ones, but it's got the drones in there too, is up 3.55%. We were reaching, into other ones as well that were moving up last night too. AIRO is another one. It's trading up. What did we discover? This says the software for the drones. It's trading as this one. It's trading up 10.1% here, 11% here now. So it's moving as well. This is on a day that the markets are down significantly. So these are significant moves here, folks. These are big moves on these stocks moving higher.
Do that DFSC one, Dennis.
Yeah, this one was up last night and it gave it all back. So this one really ripped last night up to like $12, but it's given it all back here. And we found a little bit of drones in this one too. We were talking about it and it really ripped. And, now it's come back all the way back in. But I forget, what's this one? Because we found a whole bunch of little ones. What's this one?
This one was like, and so this is kind of the interesting part. In STN last night, we were really digging. Dennis was like, there's opportunity here. If some of these names haven't moved yet and there's a little lag, maybe you could just buy these things up and get a little bit of attention. So as we were digging a bunch through all these names, we're kind of like considering what the application is for drone, and like your AVAV, your RCAT, your KTOS, those are like, they actually produce drones, and some of them do software for drones. Some of them do like field detection. Like we found a company that does like laser field detection so that a drone can be launched more accurately. DFSC, I believe, was like a relay company. They have like this device that somebody in the army or in a military example can be on the ground. They're looking at their feed right here and they can see what their drone's doing. I think that's what this one was, Dennis, DFSC.
Okay.
Do you remember that?
So, yeah. So, obviously, there's the main ones, and then we're trying to find these other ones here for you too, just like diamonds in the rough here. This drone headline, is this going to be the catalyst? We obviously got to talk about, is this the catalyst to kickstart all these stocks again, or is this a one-off? I kind of think it could be a one-off here, but we'll see if these stocks hold up. This one obviously is already giving it back. AVAV, the other ones are holding up well. AVAV is up near its highs. RCAT's up near its highs. UMAC's up near its highs. Those are the ones you think about. I know some people were talking about Joby and stuff too. Those are not the same. These are drone transportation. They're talking about defense.
There you go.
So it's a big difference between Joby. So don't have Joby on your defense drone list. Joby is
or like an Archer
drone transportation. It's a different company here.
EVTL.
The other one, what's the other one?
Archer, were you thinking, or EVTL?
Archer, yeah. ACHR, yeah. So again, not the same. Not all drones are the same. If you're doing drones, drones are drones, but we're talking about defense drones here. So that's why, why is Archer not up? Because they're not making defense drones. That's the biggest difference.
And the learning lesson here, folks, and Dennis probably could have caught a little bit of upside in some of these names if we had this ready. What we were doing last night is we were making our drone watch list. We were doing all this digging and this research so that when the next time we have a drone headline, there's absolutely going to be a next time there's a drone headline, you can just pull up that watch list really quick and you go, oh, UMAC's not moving yet. Yep. Oh, DFSC's not moving yet. And talking about how the different nuance of this, maybe there's going to be a drone headline that talks about how important the software is. Maybe there's some cybersecurity concern with the drone software, and you go to those software names that are related to drones right away. Crypto was also on your radar here this morning, Dennis. I was kind of digging around a little bit to look for some news.
It's just new highs. Bitcoin's I don't know where the hell is 118,000. I don't have the futures Bitcoin, but I can show you iBet, and it's just, continuing to move higher here this morning. We are up again after a big couple of days. Give intern some shout outs here. He's been prancing around talking crypto in the STN room nonstop here for the last few days.
Prancing
It is
around.
true. Bitcoin moving significantly higher here. IBIT up, and you can pick whichever one you want. But then you got all, obviously, Coinbase, new highs. We get the double downgrade yesterday from HC Wine, right? The stock stayed down for about 5 minutes, and then they bought it right back up to all-time highs. Hard knocking this down. MSTR is another one. Michael Saylor just partying in the streets, loving life right now, saying, I told you so to the rest of the world. MSTR up here. That's got to be like, no, well, we got up to 543, so still $100 off all-time highs, and it got really overdone. But, you got to keep an eye on NAV on this stuff. When they're trading, 60, 70% above NAV, eventually there's probably going to be a pullback here. So, but, you can see all these crypto stocks just moving higher. There's a huge list of these things. Like, obviously, you think of Coin and you think of MSTR right away, but then you can go in the miners. We got Riot way up. We got Hut is another one. We've got
I haven't looked at that right.
Hive blockchain, which is our buddy Frank Holmes over there, obviously at Hive. Mara is another one, all moving higher here. It's just a huge list. There's like 50 of these stocks. You can go into like BT. You got Bit Digital, Bit Deer, bit this, bit that. I bit everything. So you can bite on a whole bunch of these stocks. If you're wondering why Hood is not participating, well, there was a headline in Hood last night. I'm probably going to butcher it because I'm going from my memory. So why don't I just go grab it? Or if you have it in front of you, say it here.
I'm pulling it up.
But last night, they're getting investigated. So breaking last night, Robinhood's crypto trading promotions are being probed by the Florida AG. Bloomberg was reporting that. And when that came out, I just got to go grab my Hood chart here again, find it on my thing. This is the move. So it went ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. And then Bitcoin started rallying. And you can see the rally. But we repriced last night for that investigation, and that's why Hood is still trading down. Does this keep Hood down? Does this investigation? Probably not. Is this, the end of Hood? Probably not. Is Hood going to see over $100 again? Probably so. Is Hood getting added to the S&P 500 again? I believe so. I don't know when that's going to happen, but we're struggling here at $100, so there's some resistance up here though.
Our crypto list just keeps getting bigger too.
So many stocks.
I think try not to dig too deep into it here, but we are getting more and more press releases every day saying companies are switching over to some kind of like crypto treasury, Ethereum treasury, Bitcoin treasury. If this was a normal market, I would say I would want you to look deeper into it. I would say, oh, maybe there's, maybe this is a toppy kind of signal. We are not in that market. All of these things that have been signals for some kind of toppy action in the past, I feel like it's just sort of like the new market.
Well, exactly. And we're in a bull market here now. We've been in a bull market for the last 2 months. Bull markets, they don't, they don't tie that to a couple of weeks ago, because the official definition of a bull market is you got to make a new high after you have the 20% correction. But come on, if you're waiting around for that, you miss the bulk of the move. So, we've been talking about the bull market here for 2 months. So it's been back. You can just tell it in the tape. So bulls and bears, take that 20% rule and throw it in the garbage. Stupidest rule ever. I don't know who created it, but they're stupid. So 20%, it's and the official rule is that market's got to fall 20% to be in a bear market. It's just stupid. You can feel the type of market you're in by trading. If you're an active trader, you know the type of market we're in. Dips getting bought relentlessly. We're obviously in a bull market. We saw in April, early April, that rallies were getting sold tremendously. And we were in a bear market before the tariff stuff even started. We were correcting. We had corrected quite a bit. You could feel the bears were in control. It all changed in one day and in one tweet when Trump stopped the tariffs. The taco trade was created, and that was the end of the tariff crisis on April the 9th. That was the end. In one tweet, bang. I was in the dentist office with my kid. She was getting dental surgery the day that happened. And I was like, what the hell just happened? And we rallied like the 8-9%, and just like a heartbeat there. That was the day the new bull market started. That day, the taco trade was created, and the taco trade has run, for the last 2.5 months.
8:30 a.m. here, Dennis. We didn't get any notable data or anything. We did get in Canada, we did get the jobs data, unemployment rate down in Canada to 6.9% from 7%. We are going to get Tony Pollock here in a few minutes, so we'll be waiting for Tony to be kicking around. We got a couple topics left here before we get to ratings after our guest. Do you want to I'll let dealer's choice here, Dennis. You want to preview a couple earnings next week? We get our big banks. You want to talk Tesla? We could talk
We
about
haven't talked Tesla for a while. Tesla would be fun to talk about. I didn't talk Tesla the
nothing.
last couple days. We
I
haven't
know
talked
we had
Tesla for a while.
somebody
Headlines all over the place here. So yesterday, we had Musk talking. We had rumors that they're going to, apply for applications in other states. But Musk was talking about San Francisco within a couple of months. And then there was another rumor. I forget what the other one was. But there was another rumor flying around yesterday. Maybe the chat knows that robotaxi can expand over there too. So, I mean, first they need to get rid of the safety drivers. That's what we need, because we heard about, a small little fender bender where the safety driver was good, but, it just had a little bump or whatever. Without those safety drivers, these cars are not ready for prime time here. But the safety drivers are stopping some accidents right now. Don't kid yourself. They're there, not because of regulation, because they're needed, because it's not ready for prime time. I mean, Tesla's story is fascinating, though. And again, I've given this story a million times. I'm still long in the long-term account. I have a normal size position. I want to be longer, but I just feel like it's just not the time yet. It will be the time eventually. And I do think Tesla's going to have its day. And I've said I think eventually Tesla could be the most valuable company in the world because they're working on all the real AI stuff. But with all that being said, Musk is the wild card. We don't know what he's going to say next. His timelines are always out to lunch. He's talking about San Francisco within 2 months. I highly doubt we're going to see robotaxi in San Francisco in the next 2 months, but that's what he was throwing around yesterday. His timelines are always aggressive and don't get met. There's also a lot of people, major executives, leaving right now. Problems at Tesla. There's a lot of short-term hiccups here. And that's why I'm like sitting on the sidelines for the most part right now with a long-term core position, but not as big as I want to be. So I want to get bigger. Chris Camillo, dumb money, talks, this stock all the time, and he wants to be bigger in it too. I'm kind of the same as him on this. I want to be bigger. I can see all the real world applications where Tesla's going, where cars are driving themselves and humanoids are helping us, and the Tesla trucks there and delivery, and they're disrupting a million industries. But if Musk is going to focus on his politics, I mean, it makes it tough, for me to get on board right now. I want him to start focusing on the company, and that's starting the American Party is the exact opposite of what the company really needed.
I think
that's the Tesla rant.
It wasn't really a rant. When you talk for a while without taking a breath, Dennis, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a rant.
Sure, true. Good point. So the Tesla rant was light today.
And I think there is something that has been kicking around a couple since for maybe a week or so, is just like, well, what if Musk gets involved in politics and then becomes kind of like even more powerful? And you are not on board with that yet, but I think there'll be a time when you might come around to that a little bit, Dennis.
Musk becomes president, and now he's running Tesla and that. I don't think any of that's happening. So that's why I'm not on board with it. I don't think he can't be president. He wasn't born in the U.S. South African president. I don't think we're going to get it.
Nope.
Let's get Tony in the background. I know Tony's ready to rock and roll.
Ready.
I can see him there. Tony Pollock from Real Life Trading. Let's play that intro for us.
What's up, y'all?
What's up?
Pawlak, CEO of Real Life Trading. I want to get Tony Pollock's thoughts on how he's navigating all these tariff headlines, or is this just noise to
Tony? Well, I'm navigating it by getting in and getting out real quick in these markets and waiting for easier levels. So that's been my trading lately. Yeah.
Well, that's one way to do it.
Do
you want to share your Tony, before we get into the deep of the interview? Because I like it when our guests share their charts, and I know you've been willing in the past, so I'll throw it out there. If you want to share your screen, we'll get the Tony Pollock screen here, because it'll probably be better than me, and you'll do a better job with the charts than I will.
Let's do it.
Okay,
sweet. And I'm gonna warn the chat here. Chat, get your tickers ready here for Tony. I'll be fielding them. Dennis, I feel like Dennis, you throw him a few tickers, and by the time we take a look at a few, the chat will have a few for us.
Yeah, we can do ticker time with Tony. I like ticker time with Tony.
Me too.
So ticker time with Tony. Give us some tickers and we'll talk. I'll do the first ticker here for Tony, and I'm gonna do a stock that is actually trading green today, and a stock that's kind of getting some love from, it got some love from Morgan Stanley yesterday. They put a $300 price target on it, and it's Amazon, and that's why it's trading higher. Amazon consolidating here and there the highs. It's one of the biggest positions in my long-term portfolio. So don't talk bad about China. Just kidding. You can talk bad about it. I'll let you. Amazon, what are your thoughts?
Amazon, this looks really good. I love when the charts reveal their hand, because it gives me an easy way to find out what should happen. So Amazon is clearly putting in higher highs, higher lows. Here, I need to change my little pen because I forgot my little pen doesn't show up on your screen. So can you all see that?
I think it does. We can see it. We can see all that.
All right.
Yeah.
So this level right here has been heavily defended for a while, and I love when stocks do this because we're making higher highs, higher lows. So we've got a bull lean, but look at the rejection off of this one, the rejection off of this, and all these upper wicks. This is on a daily time frame.
Yeah.
So all we need to do is just mark out the high of this week here, right? If we can get some strong moves above that, it is going to open the door for some monster bull moves, because the bears have been defending this level very hard. Whenever you're getting those engulfing candles consistently and they build that wall, it opens the door for easy trades, easy day trades, easy swing trades. It is a little bit extended, but I love the pullback with time that we've had here. So that kind of negates that a little bit for me, and I'm ready to make this move to the next level. So for me, the next level is going to be, I would say, like 232 to all-time highs. So there is some serious opportunities there on Amazon based on this price action. And again, I love when the markets show their hand. I love when the bears are like, we are not getting above this, because if they start to get up above that, now you have a lot of bears that are starting to exit. They're starting to get squeezed out. You got a lot of bulls that know what they're looking for, jumping in. It should be a very good move. And you can go back and see when the markets have kind of played in this exact same realm. Bears were defending this area, get up above that, and it makes a really solid move for about 3 or 4 days. I could see the same.
You can change the color of your writing? Because one thing is it's the black, the dark red on the black. I can't see your lines very well. So not to be picky with you here, but we want to go through.
I wish. I don't know how to change.
The coloring. I'm asking
the color on this, but
it's not a big deal.
It's not.
I can maybe switch over to I can switch over to share this tab.
Oh, I like that better.
And then. Yeah, if I had my normal little pen, there we go. Maybe.
Yeah.
Let's go. All right. So
background.
That's my 2 cents there on Amazon. So I like it. I feel like there's a pretty good line in the sand that whenever someone defends something pretty strongly, it doesn't mean that it has to go higher, but if it does, everyone kind of be prepared. I feel like there could be some momentum there.
Martin in the chat wants Unity.
Let's do it. All right. So this thing has made a pretty solid move. And so my eyes and mind are always going towards, are we in supply or are we in demand? Are we in a buying zone or are we in a selling zone? This is definitely a selling zone. It's made its move, and now it's time to take profits. When the problem that people fall into in trading a lot is when a market makes its move or a stock makes its move, they start thinking entry. You need to start changing your mindset to when the markets make its strong move, it doesn't mean that you can't get in, but you've got to realize this is more of a profit-taking opportunity now, not necessarily a great buying. This is where trading gets very hard. This down here in the buying zone is much easier. This is a lot tougher because it's strong and it can keep going, but at the same time, you have a lot of people taking profits, and that's what makes things a little bit tricky. So, sorry, I have this alarm going off here in the background. If I could get this to turn
I
off.
don't hear it, so it's okay.
So making sure I'm awake. With that being said, again, we're at a very strong resistance. This stock is not really giving me an edge one way or another of where it's trying to go. I think long-term it is starting to base, and there could be some further moves higher to go. I would say $43 is probably likely over the next year or two. I don't know how long it'll take. But that's the next level I'm watching. But first things first, we got to start getting some stronger closures on a weekly, on a monthly across like $30. So it's at the area where bears are going to start to come in. Now it's a matter of sitting back and seeing if they do.
Okay, I got a good one here that had a horrible day yesterday. Vertiv, VRT. The stock has been marching, and then just quietly lost 20 points yesterday in about 20 minutes. It felt like it was probably a little bit longer than that.
Yeah.
But it went from 128 down to 110. Did bounce at the end of the day. But what do you do when you get a candle like that? Like, here's a question for you. You know, you have a nice stock that's just been marching up, following trend, and then you get a bang. Well, a rug pull. What do you do with that candle?
First things first is I want to wait and see how the candle closes. That the close is going to tell me a lot, right? Because the initial news, whatever happened on this, caused some serious
Not even news.
selling.
This was just I don't know if it was news. This was just momentum. Stocks were all getting hit.
Everyone starts getting out.
I think so.
I
Maybe
would look
there was
and
a headline on Vertiv.
Yeah, there was. It seems like a news move to me. I would say
a lot of them look like news yesterday, Tony, but it was across the board. You see 5, 6, 7% falls. Now, okay, they said Vertiv shares are trading lower, suggesting AWS will begin cooling using its own chips for liquid cooling. So there was a headline on this one yesterday. So I
something
lied.
on this one.
But there was a lot of momentum names just getting rug pulls for no reason at all.
Yeah. I mean, and this stock had, like, again, we're into the profit taking zone. Once a stock's gone up, I don't know how many bull weeks in a row that is. At some point,
up 140% since the lows in April.
It's crazy. So
it's a good move.
This is where your bears should have been. They squeezed out of that, which tells me dips are probably going to start getting bought now because bears should have pushed it lower. Instead, they're getting squeezed out. Once that happens, bulls start loading in and going, hey, I want to start buying the dip because bears didn't do what they should have done. Again, that coming back to the what should happen. So when bears don't do it, bulls are now excited. And I think that's what happened yesterday is bulls just had orders sitting there for it. So I didn't think they were planning on getting filled on a day like that, but it ended up okay, which tells me there was quite a bit of bulls here. So now what happens is I start marking out the low. If we start closing below that low, now I start going warning. Until then, I still think that we could continue higher off of this based on the lower wick that came in, the bull demand that came in. But whenever something like this happens on an erratic move, I want to see follow through or at least those lows hold pretty quickly. So we need to see some moves higher and some more excitement. And I think the party can start again. This pullback might have just offset a lot of this extension. Bulls are excited to get in. If it re-dips, you want to see more bulls getting in, not bulls running away. So that's what I'd be looking at is how does it close? And then what's the follow through happening? Do those lows hold? So if this would have closed like, like this bear candle here, now I'd be like, okay, let's sit back. Let's see what happens. I'm going to give it some more price action and try to figure out where the bulls are going to start coming back in if they're going to. They already came in. So now we already have that question answered. So now it's just, does this low hold? That'd be my line in the sand that I'd look at.
Another stock that had a rug pull yesterday. Finally, Jose wants to know in the STN room, CoreWeave, CRWB.
CRWB? Is that right?
Yeah, CRWB, okay. Victor,
yep.
Let's see here. Nope. Hold on.
CRWB. Charlie Rogers, Walter Victor.
Oh, V
as in
okay. This guy right here, right?
Yeah. Sure this is the stock that everybody's trading right now.
Got it. So the stock that everyone is trading normally means that, again, the population is gravitated towards the hard because they believe it's the easy. Whenever a stock is running, that's the hardest time to trade it because stocks always will make this pattern. So when a stock is running, it's a matter of time before that part comes in. It's just when. So everyone sees it like it's easy money, but they're just buying what everyone else is selling to them after they've already bought down there. So like everyone that bought here is taking profits the whole way up. And who are they selling to? Everyone else that's chasing this with FOMO, right? So now it's starting to have into the same game here of this pullback. So now you're having the mixture of a whole bunch of people that bought all the way through here that are now like, I hope this bounces, or are getting scared and panic selling, right? So you have both of those emotions coming in. And then you have everyone else that's now going, I'm going to start to short this. Well, the problem is it's already made a huge move down as well. So this is a pretty tricky stock to trade. I would lean a little bit more towards day trading this, just seeing that short-term momentum getting in and getting out. But let's go to a bigger time frame. First things first, let's play with the 10 EMA. That's my next buying spot that I think bulls should try to come in. And if the bulls don't buy here off of 130, 133, it hasn't built any structure on a bigger time frame. So the only structure it's got is all the way back down to 60. And so we're going to find out real quick if this is just a pump and a dump, or if this is actually a real move and the bulls come in and start forming higher lows. Once a higher low comes in on this, it's going to become much easier to trade because now we have levels to measure our risk against. Right now, everyone sees the opportunity of money, but what they're not paying attention to is what's the risk to get that money. Where can you mark out where you know you're wrong? For the bulls, I'm going to say it's all the way down here short term. So if you're getting in, if you started buying long up here, your stop really need to be here, which means your 1R is like another 200% move, right? Same thing here. If you're going short, I wouldn't even consider putting anything short unless my stop was well up above 180, because it can bounce and still drop. And most people are going to get stopped out. Then it's going to go to target. So if that's happening to you a lot, where you're getting stopped out and then it goes to target, your risk rewards are not in the right balance and your stops are not in the right place. It's usually has to do a lot more with your entry than it does your stop location. To short this, I would say probably back up into like 150. And that allows us to have, so again, here's a good example. If you put your stop where you're supposed to have and you get in right now chasing this short, your risk reward for a 2R is an unrealistic drop. The probability of this drop happening is less than 5%. If you just wait for a pullback back up to where it's time to short, you turn that 2 to a 3 to 1, which means now your 2R can be all the way up here. This is still not as that's not still a great probability, but it's a much higher probability than the stock going all the way back to its lows. So that's my 2 little cents on this. It's extremely hard to trade. If I had to lean anywhere, it would be this. A bounce back up, probably met by more bears, and then we'll see what happens at that 10 EMA around like 130 to 125.
Ticker's all over the place here. Tony wants to know, Martin wants to know about Rivian.
Is it RIVN or something like that?
Yeah, you got it.
Yep.
Cool. Let's start longer, bigger, higher time frames here, just to get an idea of where this thing's at. Okay, so this thing has gotten just absolutely destroyed, but it is building a base over the last few years, which is great. I want to see higher highs coming in and higher lows. We're starting to get the higher lows. We're really failing to see those higher highs yet. But I like the base that's being built long term. Now what we need to see are the bulls starting to claim some ground. This ground has been failed multiple times, right? We almost made that new high, but it didn't close. So it's wanting to go somewhere, but it's not there yet. If you put an alert up above $18, I feel like that's going to be your line in the sand where you're going to start seeing some strong bull momentum above $18, especially if we can get some weekly or daily closes above that. So for right now, it's a question mark. It could just keep chopping. It could have a nice run back up and then get whooped. It can drop, make a new trap, and then bounce. It can just do nothing for years. So I would sit back and go, again, don't trade the hard. There's no sentiment here. I mean, I can go into a smaller time frame and find sentiment. But whenever the bigger time frames have no sentiment, it makes the harder time frames even harder to trade. So I would be looking, again, that $18. That adds a lot of sentiment. That's letting me know that the bears are not doing their job anymore. And that's where some bigger moves can come. So that's my 2 cents. You can do whatever it wants, but that's what I see.
Here's an interesting one. Money Mitch wants to know, and he's saying it's one of his big swing trades, PCAR, which is PACR. Kind of looks interesting to me too.
Yeah. So this stock, it was in a beautiful trend here. Again, this is on a weekly time frame. Work smaller,
Sure.
But the higher highs, higher lows coming through here are fantastic. It came back down. I would say bulls should be here. They got a little bit lower. They tried to come in and then they started to fail. So bulls really should have, and I'm sorry, this pen thing is not amazing, but
it's good. It's good though. We see it.
This level right here is where the bulls really should have held and gone higher and pushed back into this level. So the fact that we started to break back down is telling me that eventually the bulls, this is good. Actually, in my opinion, this is really good buying structure. This is just pretty much like a flag down on a bigger time frame. So I like the buying structure. It's just telling me it might be a while before this actually sees that bounce. But the one thing I'd be looking for is this top trend line. We get above that, next target is all-time highs. So again, could it have bull moves back up into here and then reject for a while? Sure. But that would be my line in the sand. If this were to rotate back down, let's look at like a bigger time frame and see. It already hit the 50. I was going to say that would be a good buying spot. The next level, maybe 70. I think would worst case scenario on the stock is about 70 to 75. I don't think it's going to get there, but that would be worst case, which means that's a really good buying spot in my opinion. I love the formation that's starting to build through here, and I do think that it can have higher moves. Once this trend line breaks, though, it's game on. I really like long-term moves, and I give you long-term because this sentiment you can day trade with, right? If you have the bull sentiment of like, hey, I think it's going to be bullish up to here, you can day trade just leaning bullish. If you're swing trading, you want to know the sentiment on a longer time frame. So that's why I give you the big picture and then work down from there because it makes trading much easier. If you have like crazy bull sentiment on a 5 minute, but the daily is really bearish, those are ones normally we end up losing. So
last one before we let you go, Tony. I'm going to finish with Netflix. And Netflix has been a monster stock too forever.
Yeah.
It feels like years of monsterness in Netflix here. Had an ugly day yesterday.
Yeah.
Like I said, a lot of Momo names had a rug pull early there. Went from 12.90 to 12.40 and what felt like a heartbeat here. But let's give a perspective here. When you look at it on that chart, you don't even see the little dip from yesterday here. What are your thoughts on NFLX?
Netflix is 100% buy the dip mode. It's just where will the dip come in? So I'm looking at, you can see where my alerts are at. I love like 1,080. That is, I don't think we get much lower than 1,080. If it gets there, I'm buying. That's where I want it. This thing has made a large move. Remember, stocks always move in this pattern on any time frame. We've made the big move. It's time for this next part of the move to come back in. And that's what I feel like we're working on. So the first stop for the bulls, I'm going to say is the 10 EMA. I've got an alert sitting at like 1228. I trade Netflix a lot. I think your bulls are going to be here around, let's just say 1200 to 1220. So if we think, on a weekly time frame, that's where it should be, then we're just going to sit back and watch for bull sentiment to come through here. If the bulls don't step in here, it's opening the door to come back down into where I really want to buy this thing. So like 1,100, 1,000, somewhere in that range. Looks really good. This is where your bulls should be. Yesterday, you see the difference between the first ticker that we looked at that put in that long lower wick, and then yesterday here on Netflix, no long lower wick, which means bulls didn't come to the party. There is a chance that dips are going to keep getting, bounces are going to keep getting ripped back lower. So I would kind of look for some price action like this happening here soon, unless we get strong closers above yesterday's bear candle. So that's kind of my line in the sand for the bulls, is that up above yesterday's candle. If that happens, we should be pushing back to the 1340 level. But at the moment, this is showing me some serious signs of weakness. We've pulled back into the buying area. It put in a lower wick. It actually put in a nice bull day. And then yesterday took out all that buying. So this is going to act as resistance. I would look for like 1265 today to be a good spot to go short on a day trade, potentially, is what I'd be looking at, with targets all the way down into 1230 potentially today. So far, again, short term, bulls not really looking like they're coming in yet, but especially breaking below the 20 EMA and everything else. So it is opening that door for a larger push lower, but overall bullish. Like I'm pretty excited about buying the dip on this.
Tony Pollock, just working the charts. You learned from the best in Jeremy Newsom, and we can tell you got that Jeremy Newsom chart vibes and where you're drawing on them. Great job here, Tony. We appreciate you coming on and spending some time with us here. 20 minutes. CEO of Real Life Trading. Thanks so much, Tony.
Yeah. Happy to have you guys. Thank you.
Later. Sweet Triple D, good little segment there. You want to do a few rating changes? We got about 5 minutes left in the show.
Yeah, where do you want to
Um,
start? And usually Fridays are slower, but we do have a
yeah.
few here. Like I've got upgrades, downgrades. You have one you were looking at because there was quite a few.
I was looking at either Freeport or Oscar. Freeport downgraded to neutral. I know, we don't really care when they downgrade them to neutral or upgrade them to neutral, but downgraded to neutral at UBS, and then Oscar downgraded to underweight at Wells Fargo, $10 target. Maybe you like that one more, Dennis. Oscar.
I do. Well, I don't like it because I'm long the Oscar here, and it looks like it wants to go to the 14. Like we've broken down here, so now it looks like it's going to go retest that 14 area. Ugly downgrade here. We know analysts, man, they sell rips and they buy dips. They're selling the rip yesterday or the last couple of days when it just popped up a little bit there, and they use an opportunity and they chase price. They chase price. So I think it's got 14 maybe written on it here. I am long in the long-term portfolio. I think there's a turnaround story here eventually, but it looks like we're going to be waiting a little bit longer for that turnaround story. One that I thought was really interesting here from the upgrade perspective is a stock that has not been upgraded. Maybe you can go dig, but it's been a very, very long time since we upgraded this. Wedbush upgrades AMC. So this is Michael Pachter. We're obviously very good friends with Michael Pachter. We have him on the show once a month. And he's upgrading it from 3 to 4. The apes just go ape blank on this because it's up 8% on this. So he didn't go crazy. He went to an outperform, but he put a price target of 4. They just ran it up 25% of that price target just on his rating here. So love you, Michael Pachter. Holy mackerel. And he's been bearish this. Well, not bearish. He's been neutral for a while here. But let's read, because I want to dig into Michael Pachter's notes because obviously we talk with him all the time. Analyst comments. We are upgrading shares of AMC to outperform from neutral. AMC is poised to benefit from a more consistent release slate over the next several quarters, is positioned to gain market share in 2025 and 26 with the most premium screens in North America and expansion plans in the UK and the EU. Repaid or postponed all debt that was due in 2026, relieving near-term uncertainty, and is completing what we expect to be the last major share issuance for this foreseeable future, putting significant headwind behind it. So they're putting a $4 PT on this. They also, Wedbush is also upgrading CNK. So this is kind of like maybe an industry thing, like in the movie theaters here. So CNK, it's not AMC, so it isn't getting an 8% move. It's getting a 1.5% move, which seems a little bit more normal. But both these stocks getting a nice lift here. Sorry, I was supposed to be using the charts. I forgot.
It's okay.
We'll bring up some charts and just show you the move here in AMC this morning. If I can find the chart. There it is. I have like 25 windows open. Yeah, so there's your AMC move here. Give you a perspective here. Sometimes it's going out to the longer time frame. We'll give you a perspective. I mean, we've been sitting here, and then boom, we're up here. On this daily, it doesn't show the pre-market action, but we're up here now. So this is a huge move here for AMC.
What about CNK? Do CNK real
CNK
quick?
is not so much a big move. It's a lot smaller. Yeah. So, you're just getting a normal size move here. I don't know, though. Like, the one thing is we've been in the speculative market. And the speculative market has driven a lot of small cap stocks up. AMC has been kind of waiting for a catalyst here. Is this the catalyst to kickstart to get Pachter coming in and upgrading? Maybe. I'm not chasing something up 8% here, though. Like, it's just too big of a move here. But if you got this back down to 310, maybe it becomes interesting. Maybe I put it on for my weekend trades. You know how I like to do my weekend trades in the STN room. I'm going to write it down for a list. It's a possibility. Depends on where it closes. But, the apes all like to get it, antsy in their pantsy over the weekend and sometimes in the Sunday night trade. So it's sometimes not a bad bet to be long GME and AMC into the weekends. GME also lifting here. It's obviously, a stock that has come back significantly as well. I've been saying I kind of like GME in the lower 20s. It's come way down from where it was at 35. I've considered re-adding this to the long-term portfolio. I've had a couple of nice moves in it before. It's up a little bit. Obviously, it's a crypto play. Bitcoin's up this morning, so it's giving GME a little bit of life. But it's starting to show, like it wants to bounce at the same area. So just going and doing Tony. Not going to be as good as you, Tony, on these charts. But if you look, we got down this whole 21 area before, had the big move. Then they did the share issuance, and then, the issuance again and the guidance and, stocks right down here. Now, we're trying to come back up and form a base here where we were before. So it's kind of like trying to form a base where it wants to. Problem is if it hangs out here too long, then you think it's going lower. But GME is like a SPAC. It's got like 10 or 11 bucks in cash, and we know they're moving to crypto. So the issue is it's still trading like twice as much as cash. And what is the franchise, and the name worth? It's worth something. There's definitely,
yeah.
well-known name established, that brand is worth something for sure. How much that brand is worth is the question.
Triple D, you're pretty good with the charts, man. That's probably like a bash to you, but you're pretty good with them.
Because I don't use charts hardly at all in my trading, but we still try to, do a little bit here. So if you're interested, we'll take the charts a little bit farther here. I know you just put it up there, StockTraderNetwork.com. Come join us in the SDN room. There's a 7-day free trial. You try it out. You see if you like it. You see what we're talking about. CC Legator is going to be in here later, 1:30 with Christian Fromhertz coming in at 2. We'll have me and you on the closing show at 3:30, and you're going to get me right now for the next hour. So if you're interested, jump over, check us out here today. Other than that, I think we're to close the show. S&P is still leaking a little bit here. I'll bring that time frame back down. You can see the gap down. We're just kind of hanging out. Market's trying to find direction. We have overhead supply from the people who got burned on the Momo stuff yesterday, and they're kind of like, oh, we're down here again. I thought we were going to bounce back, and they didn't. But we've seen the tariff tantrum dips get bought before, and I'm going to say innocent until proven guilty with this market.
All right, folks, we'll see you next week. Everyone have a wonderful weekend.